So I'm at Christmas with my family in 2016. Now I have three sons. The youngest two are identical twins. They're both engineers, and at 28 years old, they're well entrenched in their professions. But they're still playing computer games like they did when they were 12. I said to them, quit playing computer games, help me enter a contest to forecast rainfall in the West. Because it has big prize money, and you can have the money if we win. You see, I'm an oceanographer who studies the saltiness of the sea, or its salinity. Evaporation from the surface of the ocean leaves the salt behind, increasing the salinity. Rainfall on the ocean dilutes the salt, making it fresher. And I had been studying the patterns of salinity variations in the ocean, and I knew that if some patch of ocean gets saltier than normal, there's going to be more rain somewhere else on the planet. And I had deduced that you could use the salinity variations in the surface ocean to forecast rainfall on land. At least I had hypothesized that. But I couldn't get funding to do that study. Over a couple of decades, more than a dozen proposals had been turned down. You see, research in the sciences is very siloed. No meteorology program is going to fund an oceanographer to study rainfall. It's very much a stay-in-your-lane situation. But a few years prior to this, I had been able to recruit a very bright new PhD from Duke University who had the expertise in meteorology and rainfall that I lacked. I recruited her to the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution's postdoctoral fellowship program. So she could provide the brains, and the fellowship would fund the research. We had just done a big experiment funded by NASA looking at a high salt patch in the middle of the Atlantic. And I thought that all the evaporation from that region that caused this high salinity was being carried into the Amazon River basin. She proved me wrong. She said most of that moisture is going into Africa. She found out that we could use the sea surface salinity variations in the springtime in the eastern Atlantic to forecast the summer rain in Africa. She also found that we could use salinity variations off the east coast of the US in the springtime to forecast the summer rain in the upper Midwest. This is exciting stuff. In each case, salinity was the very best predictor we could find in all the climatological variables. It's very important for farmers. They want to know whether a wet season is coming or a dry season. So we're quite excited. We published several papers. We submitted more proposals to continue the research. However, again, we struck out. The idea was too new. It wasn't new to me, but we couldn't sell it in the few months we had, and our fellowship ended, and she had to leave Hui. Well, so by December, I was pretty discouraged. But on December 23rd, I found out about this big rainfall contest with big prize money. 2 days later, I discovered my sons have the machine learning skills to actually pursue my idea. So Team Salient was born. Sal is the Latin root for salt. The contest was a real challenge. It's a year-long process of providing forecasts at 3 and 4 week lead, 5 and 6 week lead, every 2 weeks for a whole year. And you were scored on each of those forecasts, and your cumulative score at the end of the contest determined your prize. The contest started in April. In May, 4 weeks later, I was running a big conference on salinity. I had 100 people, and I was introducing speakers. But that morning, I got an email saying that the first scores were in from the submissions 4 weeks earlier. I just forwarded it to Stephen, my son, and told told him to check it out. I came back at lunchtime, checked my email. Stephen said, "Dad, check it out. We're way ahead of everybody else." Our initial forecast was fantastically good. Not all of them were that good, but we stayed ahead of the competition through the whole contest. We were beating professional forecasting companies, a bunch of academic teams, including a team from MIT and Microsoft. It was heady stuff. At the end of the contest, we walked away with $250,000. I was very proud of my sons. I felt vindicated in my research. I was very happy to see that my research had a practical application for society. And I decided it was a good time to retire on a high. Thank you.